Hey everyone, I want to show you how I make content for Instagram. I am a photo first photographer. I am not a videographer. I don't do video, but because of all the recent Instagram changes, I have switched over to just doing reels and occasional photos. And in order to do that, I've been using Canva Pro, which is really helpful, I think, in this arena. I also have Photoshop. I use, a lot of design tools, but this one's pretty easy and I wanted to show you how I do it. So the first thing I do is find a template to start with over on Canva. And to do that, I usually go to their homepage, and I'm just going to flip over here and do create design and go to Instagram Reel. Now, Instagram Reels, they give you some templates to use, and I usually stick with those to start, and then I modify them. For instance, this My Coast trip here is one that I've used several times, where I go in and I change the text to fit what I'm doing. Makes it a lot simpler. It also gives you kind of a guide as to what sort of animations you might want to use or transitions. It gives you those clues because they do that in the initial design. So I'm going to show you what I've been working on. So I went over to this one, which is that design that you just saw. I modified it for this. And what I do is start with the initial image, change the words out, and then change the image out. And then I start to build my story. I want to deliver a short video that shows the final product, a little bit of behind the scenes, some EXIF data, and a call to action. All of those things help to make the little video make sense in my mind anyway. It's just something I'd want to see. And that's really where I'm coming from. I'm just trying to make content that gives insight into what I'm doing and hopefully invites people to come and join my botanical photography network, or reach out to me or whatever. It's a complete package. So I start with an image that brings people in, and then I go to a behind the scenes look to show what I'm working with. And then I like to add EXIF data that explains the under the hood, whether I'm using a flash or strobe, my lens, the shutter speed, all of those things. And then I start to string together the final images. Now, I don't shoot in vertical. I don't shoot in the aspect ratio of a reel because why? It would be very awkward to do that. But what I do is I zoom in. So I take a segment of the image and place it on the shape of the reel, and that works the best for me. Sometimes in this case, I inverted the picture. This is actually on its side to make it fit better. I always change the background color to something that's dark. In my case, most of my backgrounds are dark, so that works out well. If I don't want to stretch something out completely to cover the frame, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And if I have to tuck it in, like in the case of the EXIF data, I just make, this is the size of the frame. But I want the EXIF data to all show where people can view it. And there's usually stuff over here and stuff down here and stuff up here on a reel. And I just want the information contained. So I put it in the middle and just change the background color. You can do that simply by clicking on it and going up here to the color palette and choosing either from within your document or some standard colors that you have, saved there. So then I start to build out the individual frames, and I like to change the image duration to be the same. So in this case, about 2.5 seconds, and I use this little clock up here to change it. You can apply it to all the pages if you want. I usually want anything where words are happening to be at least 3 seconds so people can have a bit of time to read, especially if you're using some kind of an animation. In this case, the first peony shoot is animated, so I want at least 3 seconds so that people can gather what I'm doing. And then I wrap it up after, I try not to go over 30 seconds, and I wrap it up by putting some kind of call to action at the end. In this case, I'm inviting people to join my free photography network, and I use a QR code that goes to the link for my botanical photography community. And I create the QR code using apps that are over here in Canva. So I just go to the apps and put in QR code like this, and then hit QR code, and then the most basic one will come up that's free. And then I put my link in there. It creates the code. I copy and paste it into my document like you see here. I also try to make sure that I don't have some kind of animation on the QR code. Likely people are going to screenshot it or come back to it. Hopefully it will encourage them to save it in Instagram so that they can come back on their computer and get the QR code with their phone. But do make sure that you don't have an animation right on the code itself. I also go in and just make sure that everything is timed right. Sometimes when you're adding or removing images, you can end up with one that's 5 seconds long. You want to make sure that you just do a run through on here and make sure that everything flows and ticks along and doesn't have any random weirdness. I do like to put transitions between each slide, and how you do that is to just highlight or click between each slide, and then you can add a transition. In this case, fade is really gentle and it works with my style, but something that is more animated might work with yours. Then when I'm all done, I just go to export it, share, download as an MP4, and then I'm on Mac, so I airdrop it over to my phone, and then I just put it into my drafts. I make a mock-up reel with Instagram and choose some music that's trending. I usually wait until the day that I'm going to post to choose my music, because that changes so quickly as to what is low and still trending. And that way I get it posted. But since switching over to this, I make far less content, but I think what I'm making is a little more complete and a little bit less chaotic. I can do 2 or 3 posts a week as opposed to 7 or 8 or 10 posts as I was before. It just works better for what I do. So I hope this helps, and have a great day.